Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by Gulf Coast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have been providing North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 30 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting gulfcoastfinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus with the best of the best in financial services as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter, 7 years and running, celebrating their 30th year serving savers and investors in North Central Florida. They are the team from Gulf Coast Financial Services, and founder and CEO John Kuykendall joins us as always here on Financial Focus to provide the proactive guidance and insight. And John, we certainly appreciate you doing that because it is a complex and confusing financial world.
Well, it really is, Peter. I tell you what, it's gotten more complicated and more complex all the time. And these energy prices and inflation, everything is just getting so much more that we need that income plan. I was meeting with a couple this morning and I explained to them that, you know, when you're looking at a 30-year retirement, which is what a lot of people are looking at, you've got to have some way to project what you're going to need during that retirement before you can ever make decisions about giving money to children or buying this or buying a vacation home or whatever. You got to have a roadmap. And it's more apparent now than ever before as we reach these. I'm sure we're going to be at $6 gasoline before the end of summer.
Yeah. And perhaps, John, leaving a giant legacy is not everyone's primary goal, but if you've got that plan in place, that written retirement income plan for how to generate your income throughout retirement, where you'll pull it from and to be efficient with it, then in all likelihood, realistically, your chances of leaving some positive legacy behind have increased pretty dramatically.
Well, it's a lot better. The chances are much better if you have a plan and if we're living with a plan. And, you know, that's one of the things that Dave Ramsey always talks about is budgeting, making sure you have a budget, you know where you're spending your money. So it's the same thing with a plan. The only thing is, you know, we're not getting paid in retirement. We're living out with our money and what we built up. And we need to do the best job we can during retirement to maintain it and keep it.
Well, if you would like to get that plan put together, if you would like to double check and troubleshoot your current plan, if you've got any specific questions or concerns, you are always welcome to be in touch with John and the team there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. That is the benefit of this program, is that it is interactive. You've got the ability to get specific and individual guidance. Just give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018. That is 386-755-9018. And John, you've brought along a great report today. This also is available, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like this 8 moments to move your money report, simply call Gulf Coast Financial Services and request it. Again, 386-755-9018. But John, a great list of the 8 moments to move your money. Going to be going through some times where we should consider moving or changing the location where we have our money. The first one on the list is a big one, rebalancing. Why is this so important, and when and how should we go about doing this?
Well, we've talked about this before, Peter. You know, for the last 13 years, we've had a bull market, and the market's gone up. So if you haven't looked at your accounts or if you haven't reallocated your accounts, then your accounts are out of sync with your risk tolerance. And so we have to rebalance. As we get older, our lifestyle, we can't afford to lose 50% of our money when we're 65 or 67 or retired, but we can't afford to lose it if we're younger because we're going to make it back. So rebalancing is a big one, and one that we recommend you look at, making sure that your portfolio and the gains that you've made haven't gotten out of sync with where you are on your risk balance, risk tolerance.
Does the American public know to do this? I mean, the majority of savers and investors have built the majority of their wealth inside of 401k plans, which are sort of touted as automatic and out of sight, out of mind. So are we being properly educated on the importance and benefits of rebalancing?
Probably not, because I don't think we ever talk about it. I don't think you've ever heard anybody at your 401k or your deferred comp plan talk about rebalancing your account. I think that mainly what they're concerned about is investing where you're invested, but they're not worried about the growth within that portfolio, and that sleep factor that we talk about, where my risk tolerance is such that I can sleep at night.
And do we know how to do it? Once we understand the importance of doing it, do most people know how to go about doing that? Because we're also not getting a whole lot of guidance or monitoring or instruction on our 401k.
Well, we're certainly not. And if you're managing your money yourself and you got a 401k, there's a certain percentage of your check each week going into funds. And that is based on your allocation that was made at the time you met with your advisor. So if you've got 10% going into a large cap growth fund, and now that growth fund is at 20% of your portfolio, you need to trim that back to 10 and reallocate along the lines of what you're investing in.
Profits are there and available and on the table for the taking, as well as the risk balance may not match your risk tolerance. So these are reasons why rebalancing is important.
That's right. I can take the profit and reallocate it, or I can leave it exposed to the market. If I have a market turn down like we've had this year, then I stand to lose more because I'm in a more risky investment. So that's the reason we rebalance.
And point of importance and emphasis here, this is not talking about completely relocating your accounts. This is done within an existing account, rebalancing.
Oh, that's right. You just call your advisor or your administrator for your 401k or deferred comp and explain to them how you want that reallocated. A lot of times you can go online and do it yourself, but any advisor is willing to help you with it.
So not relocating, but it is moving your money, one of the 8 and maybe one of the most important moments to move your money. Also want to emphasize, John, that while rebalancing, I think, is done periodically throughout the course of our investment experience and progress, we also need to time optimize our portfolio. In other words, where we rebalance to at 60 may be vastly different than the allocation that we were rebalancing to at 30 or 40.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. When you're 30 or 40, you may have 80 or 90% of your funds at risk in the stock market. As you get older, you want to diversify that more into more different types of investments, more investments that are safe, but also don't forget, we still want to stay in the market because we don't want to get out. We need that growth to take care of inflation, but we just want to reallocate and make it more conservative for us as we get older. We have to. And the thing about it is, if somebody tells you that you've got to move your account in order to rebalance, that's not right. As you said, all we have to do is keep the same account, keep the same funds, just rebalance within those funds. Also take a look at the funds that you're in, because what was in vogue yesterday or 2 years ago may not be in vogue today and may be losing money. Bonds have been on a losing streak for a period of time, and you might want to look at that and make sure you're allocated properly.
So rebalancing, important for your fundamental financial success and progress, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1 on this list. The second instance here in our 8 moments to move your money, John, Roth conversions. Why is this one being talked about a lot here recently?
Well, Roth conversions, we're talking about the fact that taxes are going up. We know that taxes are going up. So would I rather pay now when I'm in a lower tax bracket than to pay later when I'm in a higher tax bracket? Plus, I'm paying taxes on my principal and my gain. Whereas with the Roth, I'm not paying taxes at all. I'm paying taxes now on my income, but whatever I make when I take it out is tax free. So we really want to do that. And Peter, one thing that's really important is, because of the way that Medicare and Social Security is structured, if we're going to reallocate from a traditional qualified account into a Roth, we want to do it prior to age 65, because at 65, our hands are limited somewhat by the amount we can convert, due to the fact that other things like Medicare Part B and other things are taxable for us. So we want to make sure that we do the best tax benefit for us and do that early on before we're 65.
But if you want to weigh the benefits and the costs of doing any kind of proactive Roth conversion, John, that's an area where you and your team can help quantify that and evaluate it for your clients.
That's right, Peter. We have the software. We do the taxes here. We can look and take their tax return, put it into our software, and we can tell them how much we can convert and where the next income tax level is going to be, and actually project out the taxes for them so that they can make an informed decision.
Again, of note, while you here in this instance do need to change account types and titling, moving from tax deferred to Roth or tax free with a conversion, it does not necessarily mean you have to change what you are actually invested in, the funds, the stocks, the positions that you hold.
That's right. You can use the same positions. It's just reclassifying it, paying the taxes now on that money that you've deferred in the past, and instead of paying it in the future. You know, we were always taught that taxes are going to be cheaper when we retire. We'll pay less taxes in retirement. I'm telling you right now, that's not true. Even today, we're paying more taxes, and it's costing us more, like I said, more cross tax because of the way things are structured. We need to do this prior to 65, but it still may make sense to do some Roth conversions based upon how much income you have and the way we can structure your income when you first go into retirement.
No, John, indeed. I was having this conversation earlier today. The way that the American public has been taught to save for retirement, really for the last 40 years, has actually led to us being in the highest taxable position in retirement. Not that it's the highest taxes that we'll pay, but we have positioned ourselves by deferring all of our taxes until retirement to be taxed at kind of the highest potential level once we're in retirement.
Well, that's right. And, you know, the thing about it was we were taught that back in the 80s when we went from deferred comp plans to 401ks. And it was a way that you defer, go ahead and defer, and it'll be cheaper later. It's not going to be cheaper. The problem is we built up all this wealth over these 40 years, 50 years, and now we're going to be paying taxes on that. So even while we're in a lower tax bracket, you're really not paying less taxes, because when we convert that over and you have to live, it just doesn't work. And like I said, Medicare and Medicare Part B weren't set up to be taxed this way when we started talking about that. Things have changed. Taxes change. Taxes are going to change every year. What did Ben Franklin say? The only two things that are certain is taxes and death. Mm-hmm. So
sometimes it feels like we're taxed to death. Or at death.
Taxes have never been more important to me than they are now. And at my age, you think that taxes wouldn't be that big a deal, but everything I do compounds something else. And so while I love to work, I'm really lucky working to pay the government. And so, you know, it just hurts when you think about all the things that we were told to do, and now we're proving them wrong.
Yeah. Well, additional thought on this is don't let any crisis go to waste. There may be opportunity in crisis. No one loves to see market volatility or downturns, John, but in the midst of a downturn may especially be a good time to consider a Roth conversion.
Well, that's right. Your account's worth less. So when we convert it over to a Roth, you're actually converting less. So the taxes are going to be smaller. And then when the market comes back, which it will, we know that, then that growth will be tax-free. So now, because of this market correction, it's an ideal time to take a look at your portfolio and think about doing a Roth conversion.
All right. Well, onward in our list of 8 moments to move your money, age 59 and a half. John, I think this is one that most savers and investors mentally earmark as the date and age or time in which they can access funds without paying the 10% penalty. But that's not the only strategic move that becomes available to us at 59 and a half.
Now, if you're in a 401k plan or a deferred comp plan, you may be able to move that money out into an IRA, have more diversity, have less fees. You may, like I said, also be able to do the Roth conversion. So there are a lot of reasons why this happens. The main thing that people think about when we think about age 59 and a half is I can get my hands on my money and I don't have the 10% penalty, but you're still going to have the taxes on it. So you got to remember that. And if you're working, you want to make sure that you're not touching this just because it's available. It's not free money. A lot of people look at this as a windfall. And this is money that you've set aside. It came out of your paycheck. And so it's not free money. You've already paid for it. Now you're just going to pay the taxes for it. So let's be careful with it and make sure we understand. But certainly the 59 and a half rule gives us a little bit more flexibility within your deferred comp 401k plan. And it's something that we need to take a look at.
And John, just to reiterate here, even if you are still working and you don't per se need the money, age 59 and a half opens up doors to new opportunities to better control your money's outcome.
Oh, that's right, Peter. It certainly does. It gives us a lot more flexibility with what we can do with the money, how we can get to the money without paying that penalty, and also how we can move the money around to make you much more diversified than you are in your simple 401k.
And we can still continue contributing and participating in the 401k, capturing match on new dollars if we're still working.
We totally recommend that. As long as you're participating in any kind of match, you want to make sure you always put up as much money as you can in order to make the match. The match is free money. That is free money, and we want to make sure we take advantage of it. And what does Dave Ramsey say? We should put up 15% of our payroll?
That would be ideal since retirement's pretty long and pretty expensive, right?
Yeah. And it's getting more expensive all the time.
I did some quick math. If you work a 30-year career and you only save 10% of your income each year, by the end of a 30-year career, you have saved a whopping 3 years worth of expenses. And that's if you made the same thing every year. And of course, we hope to get some investment return and double that money and double it again and again. But retirement these days is 30 to 35 years, and things are more expensive in the future. So need to do all we can. And again, this age 59 and a half, it's one of those opportunities, one of the 8 moments that you should consider moving your money because of the potential benefits. And by the way, John, doing that age 59 and a half or in-service distribution, not necessarily a taxable event at all. We're typically talking about rolling this over to another like qualified account.
Right. It just gives us more options, more diversity, moving it into different kinds of accounts so that it'll still be tax deferred or a Roth, you're converting a Roth, but it just gives you more investment options.
Number 4 on your list here of 8 moments to move your money. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like this list to review on your own time, see if any of these moments apply to your situation, give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018. Number 4 on the list, John, leaving a job, or if you have left a job and left your money behind.
Well, this is one that a lot of people do. I meet with people all the time that have 2 or 3 or 4 401ks with small balances they picked up. First of all, all those accounts have fees to them. And because you're no longer with the company, they may have higher fees than what you had when you were with the company. And the other thing is you're really not monitoring those accounts. Those accounts are just sitting out there in limbo, and they're there, but how many times do you go actually look at them and see if you need to reallocate, see if you need to change investments?
Is that a thing, John, where I may be charged more if I leave a company and leave my money there?
Well, it certainly is, Peter. I mean, it depends. There are certain advantages to being with the 401k, because if I'm with the 401k, then the owner takes some responsibility, fiduciary and otherwise. And so if I'm not, and I just leave my money with the company that had the investments, then certainly I can be charged more. I can be charged commissions on trades. I can be all kinds of things that you really need to be aware of. And always, no matter what kind of account you have, always be conscious of the fees, because the fees will take away from your yield. And, Peter, you talked about doubling when we were giving that little example. And I don't think a lot of people out there realize that if I take my yield and divide it into 72, it will tell me how long it will take my money to double. And if I'm earning 2%, it's going to take my money 36 years to double. So we want to make as much as we can our investments while the market's good so that that money doubles and we get the compounding of interest, which we always talk about as the eighth wonder of the world, is compound interest. The more our account makes, the more my money's going to double, the faster my interest is going to compound.
But what can work against that? And number 5 on your list, if fees are too high, that is another reason to move your money. Unfortunately, a lot of times we don't fully know the fees and the expenses to our money.
Well, that's right. I don't think that sometimes they're disclosed where you can really see them. It's kind of like buying a car nowadays and finding out that they have every day they do a market value adjustment. So while they got it on this price, tomorrow it may be a different price, but it always goes up. It never comes down. So fees will certainly eat at your yield. And, that 2% or 3% or even 1% will make a big difference over a long period of time if I can add that to my yield.
Well, again, we are reviewing with John Kuykendall, the founder CEO of Gulf Coast Financial Services, the 8 moments to move your money. And if you would like this list, this report of these 8 moments, so you can see if any of them apply to you in your situation, pick up the phone, give a call. If you identify that some do apply to your situation and need some help or assistance or guidance in moving your money, then of course, the team from Gulf Coast Financial Services is here as your resource. 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. Next on the list, a big one, I think, here, John, as we have seen the market decline, we don't like losses, but this is sort of relative, I think, as well. Underperforming. If we feel our account is underperforming, it is at least a time to discuss and consider what we can do about it.
Well, that's right, because if we know that the market is going up and our account's not moving as in regard to that, then we need to sit down with our advisor or sit down with someone and find out why. Look at each individual investment and make changes. As I said before, what's in vogue today, the number one mutual fund today will probably not be the number one mutual fund next year. They change, they rotate, sectors rotate, bonds go in and out of favor, different things move. So you need to make sure that your portfolio, that when you made that alignment and you went into real estate may not be doing well, may not do well for a couple of years. Do I want to leave my money there, or do I want to change it to something that is performing right now and then I can change it later? There's no cost to make these changes, Peter. I mean, there's no taxes that are going to be involved. The only thing that's going to be involved is a phone call or an internet so that you can look and see what's going on, talk to an advisor, and make the changes. We want to make sure that our accounts are performing. Like I said, if I lose 30% today, I may not have time to make it up before I really need to start drawing some of that money out. And that's not a good time to worry about it then.
Well, as Albert Einstein said, it is all relative, however, and based on whether we are conservative or moderate or aggressive, underperforming may be a relative term as well.
It may be. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that all bond funds or all value funds are out of vogue. It just means your particular one may have made a bad mistake. There was an ETF last year that put a big amount of money into one stock on Bitcoins, thinking Bitcoins were going to go crazy. As we know, that didn't happen, and that fund since our ETF has been losing money. Do you want to leave your money there, or do you want to move it somewhere else?
Well, again, we are reviewing these 8 moments to move your money. Underperforming, fees too high, leaving or have left a job, age 59 and a half, Roth conversions, rebalancing, all reasons or moments you should consider. John, this is another big one. We've talked before on the program how there's actually a pretty high number of retired Americans that did not retire of their own accord or on their predetermined or ideal timeline. If your time horizon has changed, it is a reason why you should also consider the implications to your money and potentially consider moving it.
Well, that's right. I mean, something can happen. Life happens. You may have a health crisis. You may have a job that you've lost. You may have, a family member. You may have another individual who in the family who has a health problem. Those things will all affect whether I can retire on schedule or whether I have to work longer. Certainly, as time horizons change, my portfolio needs to change with it. If I'm going to work longer than I've anticipated, I might want to make some changes and be a little more aggressive. If I've got a real big problem and I know that I've lost a job, I know that my company's closing or relocating and I'm not going with it, then we want to go ahead and get more conservative immediately, Peter. We don't want to wait and just continue with the same portfolio balance that we had, alignment that we had when we were working and everything was great. Life changes and your portfolio has to change with it.
And finally, on the list of these 8 moments to move your money, consolidating accounts may make things a little easier, tidying things up, a little housekeeping in retirement, or really at any time, John, that can give us a better handle on our forward financial progress.
Well, we've got to monitor our progress. It's much easier to monitor our progress in retirement and even before retirement if we have everything in one place where we can look at it and we can go and we understand what our risk tolerance is because I've got all of my accounts there. The thing about it is, that old adage, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Well, you're never putting all of your eggs in one basket if you're with an advisor who has you diversified properly and is monitoring your account and watching it. Having all my eggs in one basket doesn't adhere to that theory with this, and we need to monitor those accounts. We can't just sit them in a drawer and not worry about them and say, hey, that one's over there. I got 10,000 in it. It'll be okay. We just talked about all the reasons I don't want to do that.
Yeah. The reality of it, unfortunately, is that more people have baskets scattered about that they're not paying attention to, not watching, may not even really be aware of or remember than there are people who have all of their eggs in one basket. And that's why doing a little bit of housekeeping and consolidation from time to time is a reason to move your money. Great summary of some of the big ones, John, and I'm sure that there are more, but I think this list covers a lot of ground. Thank you for bringing the important information as you do, as always, here on Financial Focus, and being the resource for North Central Florida savers and investors that want to be proactive in making sure their money is working as hard as they have to achieve their financial goals.
Well, thank you, Peter. That's what we're here for. We want to help people. We want to make sure that they have the best retirement they can have. That's what we've always said. Thank you and have a good week.
And again, if you'd like this list of the 8 moments to move your money, or if any of these moments you feel may have applied to your situation, pick up the phone, give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018 for an initial consultation and a complimentary review and evaluation. They look forward to hearing from you and helping you in any way they can.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.